So today we're going to start and look into our adding and subtraction lesson. We've gone over already our key math points of counting from 1 to 20, and we went briefly over the terms used in addition and subtraction, so we know what to look for in a word problem to help us pick the correct operation. So let's look at our PowerPoint for today. So we're going to start off with our addition and subtraction. So we're going to start off with the do now. Today's do now is going to be found in your Google Classroom Math section. It's going to be a Google Forms, and it's a short 2 questions for your do now, and once you're done completing it, just please sit patiently for everyone else to finish. Okay, so this is what they're going to see when entering Google Forms. The students are going to have about 3 minutes to answer the question. It's 2 questions, one about addition, one about subtraction. These questions are going to be used for me to get instant feedback, to be able to figure out how to break up these groups. For independent and group work, it's the combines. This helps if a student doesn't understand the terms, they're going to struggle with figuring out what operation to use correctly. So if a student's struggling, I'm able to assist them. If they totally understand it, I let them kind of go on their own and do it. And if there's anyone in the middle, I just see where everyone stands with this, and I can see how to break it up to benefit the students. So now that everyone's completed their Google form, let's start today's lesson. So what are we learning today? Today we're learning how to add groups together and how to subtract groups. So let's start with our key terms. So we went over many of them over the last few days. So let's start off with some addition terms. We have these terms you want to look for when reading a word problem. So it's going to be add, sum, increase, and total. And for subtraction, some words you want to look for are minus, less, difference, and to take away. Now, was there any other words that we mentioned that you remember that isn't on this PowerPoint? Subtraction, yes, you can say less, you can say lose, yes. Addition, you can say more, yes. Good, I'm glad you guys remember these terms. So let's look more back at counting and adding 2 groups. So we're going to be combining 2 groups of objects into one by counting both groups together using a number line. So today we're going to use the different ways of counting the groups. We have number lines, we have objects to count. So let's start off with combining 2 groups. So in our first group is going to be 3 pairs. We have 3 green pairs in the first group. In the second group, we have 5 green pairs. So if group 1 has 3 and group 2 has 5, let's try to add these together to make one big group. So we're going to start off with group 1, which is number 3, and we're going to use our hops, and we're going to count up to 5. So we're going to hop up each number 5 times. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So our total for our big group is 8 pairs. Let's see if we could write this like a number sentence. So for our number sentence, group 1 has 3 pairs, group 2 has 5 pairs, and our total from our number line from hopping, we got 8. So we're going to do 3 plus 5 equals 8. Now, does anyone know another way we could write this and still get the same number 8 as our total? Yes, so we can switch the 3 and the 5 and make it 5 plus 3 equals 8. Yes. For addition, the order of the numbers in between the addition symbol can be interchanged. So they can be changed and doesn't change the total of the answer. So let's look at how we're going to count and subtract groups. So you can subtract 2 groups of different objects or similar objects by starting with the biggest number and taking away a given number. So you always want to start off with the biggest number when it comes to subtraction, because if you start off with the smallest number, you won't have enough objects to subtract. So let's look at this problem. So this is a word problem for our subtraction. So it says Mary has 19 pencils. Mary gives Bobby 10 pencils. How many pencils does Mary have left? So is there any key terms that anyone notices that helps them to, even though we know it's subtraction, what key terms helps us know that it's subtraction? Yes. So Mary gives Bobby, she gave him pencils, so she's giving away pencils, yes. And the last word, yes, left. How many does she have left? Not in total. How many more, it's how many left. So let's start with our first group, which is what Mary originally has of 19 pencils. So she has 19 pencils to start off with. And then she gives Bobby 10 pencils. So that's our second group. So let's look on the number line. So what number do we have to start with for a subtraction? Yes, we have to start with 19 because it's our biggest number and that's going to be the highest we can get in this group. So we're going to have to count backwards because we're getting rid of pencils or not adding. So we're going to count backwards, do 10 hops backwards. So let's do the hops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we counted 10 times backwards and we got 9. So Mary has 9 pencils left out of her 19. So let's try to see how this would work for a number sentence. So our first group is 19, our second group is 10, and the total we got at the end is 9. So if we do 19 minus 10, because she's giving away 10, we get that Mary has 9 pencils left over. So let's see if we can put this into our group work. So in a group, you guys are going to complete a worksheet with adding and subtracting questions. You will be given counting blocks that we've used before, and you'll be able to draw if that helps you visualize the groups. So at this point, I'm going to break the students up into groups. Let's go over our groups is determined based off of the results of the Google form. So once groups are made, we're going to go over the worksheet together just so everyone knows the directions. So for the adding and subtraction worksheet, as you see on the top is your name and date. We always put our name and date in our papers. So we're going to use our counting blocks, or you can draw the shapes. I want everyone to try to use both so that everyone understands how to use them and find out what works best for them. So you're going to use your number line to find the sum or the difference for each problem. So your number line on the top of your desk you can use, or you can use the one in the back of your planners. I know everyone has one in there. So you're going to write the number sentence, and you also are going to either highlight or circle or underline in a color. It could be a crayon, a colored pencil, a marker, nothing too dark, but you can use a highlighter just to highlight the key terms that helped you figure out what to do with the problem. If you're adding, if you're subtracting, if you're doing both, I want you to highlight those words that helped you. So the first question is, I have 9 books in my shopping cart, my shopping bag. I add 7 more books into my bag. How many books do I have now? Okay, the question 2 is, Jill had 15 stars on her backpack in the beginning of the year. She loses 10 stars by the end of the year. How many stars are left on Jill's backpack? And so the bonus question is going to be tricky, but I want all of you guys to work in your groups to figure it out, because as a group you can figure it out. So it's going to be, Andy has 5 pencils. He gets 5 more pencils. I want you to find how many pencils he has then. But he loses 3 of those new pencils. How many pencils does he have left? So I want you guys to do this in your group work. And then once you're done, hand it in. Make sure you checked off your checklist. That will be on the board. And then you guys can wait patiently and talk quietly in your groups. Okay, so for the students that were struggling with the do now, I'm going to pull them in the back of the classroom just so I can focus more and see what they're struggling with. Their worksheet's going to be slightly different. It's the same concept, but it's tailored to them. So key terms will be bolded and underlined. And the numbers used in all 3 problems are the same 3 numbers. So 19 plus 7 equals 16, 16 minus 9 equals 7, just so they get the concept of how lining up these numbers, like in a subtraction, that the biggest number has to be first, and then the other ones. But this just helps them become familiar with these numbers so they're not struggling. But as a group, they are going to work in a group. I'm just going to pay more attention to them, and it's going to help them see these key terms. And then while they're working on this assignment, I will be walking around the classroom and checking everyone and make sure everyone's on task and working as a group. And I will give my own assessments on my own paperwork, checks plus, smiley face, sad face. But however, if they're working, they're gonna get the grade for it if they're copying or if they're just slacking. But if they also don't understand it, I'm able to notice that and make a note that this student's struggling. I should give them, see if they need an extra help in whatever they're struggling in. So this just helps me reflect on a lesson and to also see where every student stands. So this is going to be the checklist of students that will be on the board. It will be what's expected before they hand in their assignment. So all my assignments will have some kind of checklist the kids can review before they hand in to make sure they have everything completed. So it's going to be your name on the paper, to show your work and make sure it's complete. To work in the group to get the answer, don't work by yourself or don't wait for other people to give you the answer. To try to use the counting blocks and to try to draw, because sometimes you will have the counting blocks, sometimes you won't, and you have to be able to draw. So using both helps the student understand how to use it and how to use it correctly, and to understand how a number sentence is written. This is a key part of the lesson. I want them to know why they're writing the big number first in subtraction and why this one's subtraction addition. And by working in a group, if one student really understands it and one's kind of iffy, they can kind of lead them. And if they still need help, I can hop right in and help them individually. So I really want them to just not write the number sentence by memorization. It is memorization, but I want them to understand why they're writing it a certain way. Okay, for our closure today, we're going to talk about what we learned today. I want everyone to write down on their notebook, in their notebooks, one thing they wrote, one thing they learned, or two things they learned, or something that they really enjoyed doing that helped them learn in today's lesson. And then in about a minute, we're going to have people raise their hands and share what they thought of today's lesson and how they learned. So this is just another way of giving me feedback to see if the class liked it and it clicked, or if they were like bored with it, or if it did not help at all. So this is just also to see if it worked, if they understand it. So this will have a 2-minute closure, and before students leave, they will be handed a exit ticket. Well, they will be doing complete an exit ticket that is online. It's going to be handed out to them. So it's going to look like this. It will have just these two groups, and they're going to have to find the sum and the sum of the two groups, write a number sentence, and then use that number sentence, the addition sentence, to write a subtraction sentence. So bigger number in the front, other two numbers kind of interchangeably on the other ends. But I want them to be able to understand the relationship between the addition and subtraction that they did with the other ones. So this, they're giving a number line, and then they will get around 4 to 5 minutes to complete this assignment. So once they hand in the assignment, this lesson's completed, and any questions they have will be answered at the time. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. And that's it. Thank you.